Why aren't those apps really working for you? I see this a lot in voice teaching and from students who try to learn music online before coming in for lessons. People use web apps or games to fix a problem, whether that's ear training, musicianship, or pitch accuracy. Here's the truth. A lot of these skills can absolutely be drilled. Repetition helps. But most apps aren't really working to progress you because they're not designed for skill acquisition. They're just for practice. Most apps, again, with a few exceptions, are designed for rote recognition, not as part of a structured curriculum. There are exceptions, which is why apps like Duolingo, big music games, Tenuto, and others take off. They take the opposite approach. Meg's podcast puts it perfectly.
I'm in a practice every single day because I am in the practice of just rewiring my brain.
Research shows that repetition alone doesn't lead to mastery, not without scaffolding or intentional instruction. Plus, music is inherently a community experience. Meg herself first learned piano using the Light Up Piano tutorials on YouTube, then took lessons to get that jam experience. Here's the problem. When app levels are just repeatable patterns, you're not really learning the skill. You're just learning how to game the system. And that's a huge difference. For example, I was playing an ear training app this morning. By the second round, I wasn't actually listening for intervals. I had just memorized that the first question is always the new interval introduced. Once I got that, the first question, I always got that right. I was already 10% through the level and my ear wasn't engaged. Just my memory. So if you're using apps as your only tool instead of working with a teacher, you need ones that are well designed and well structured. Ones that provide real feedback. The rest, they're fine, but think of them as supplements, not standalones. This is where teachers make the difference. When our instructors teach ear training, musicianship, or voice exercises, they aren't just drilling. They're thinking strategically. Do we move around the circle of fifths? Do we teach major and minor scales together or separately? How do we tailor exercises to your learning style? Apps are usually built around a single logic or approach. A teacher can hold multiple approaches at one time and pivot as needed. That adaptability is what helps you actually internalize the skill. For an app to match this, it would need complex if-and programming. If you choose this answer, move here. If you get it wrong, try this exercise. Most apps don't do that. They just keep you at the same level, giving the same results every time. Even with complexity, apps just aren't as flexible as an in-person teacher. That's why frameworks matter. When you understand why an exercise exists, not just that it exists, you're learning a skill, not just clicking through levels. Think of it like building a house. You can hammer nails all day, but if you don't know what the blueprint looks like, your foundation will be weak. Frameworks are your blueprint. Now, I'm not saying apps are bad. I've worked in a speech clinic where technology was the main tool for an 8-week intensive. Apps and tech can absolutely help, but only if you know their role. They work best as reinforcement tools, not the main source of instruction. A good app can give immediate feedback, reinforce recognition, and let you drill a skill. But without guidance, repetition becomes rote. And rote practice alone doesn't build mastery. Remember, practice builds permanent, not perfect. So how do you use apps effectively? Outside of lessons, choose apps that clearly explain why an exercise works. Look for apps that give real specific feedback, not just right or wrong. Use apps to supplement teacher-led lessons, not replace them. Be intentional with your practice. Every session should have a clear goal. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day of focused guided practice beats an hour of unguided repetition. When reinforcing a skill, it's about frequency versus dosage. Multiple short sessions across the week are more effective than a single long binge. Most apps encourage the opposite, grinding until you beat a level. Instead, pick up the app in short, focused moments. Whenever you have free time, I'm quite literally almost always on my phone. This tool is literally in your pocket. You can use it a lot. If you happen to have a full hour, it might be better to jump into a lesson and save the app for those shorter pockets of time, like when you're waiting for the train or in between classes. At the end of the day, it's all about strategy and intention. Music learning isn't just memorizing patterns, it's understanding them, feeling them, and applying them flexibly. That's why this channel exists, to give you frameworks, strategies, and guidance you can't get from just clicking through levels. Apps are great, they're great tools, but real learning happens when you combine them with clear instruction, intentional practice, and a teacher who can pivot with you. Next time you sit down with an ear training app, ask yourself, am I learning or am I just gaming the system? If you want to improve, start thinking in frameworks, not just levels. I promise your progress will skyrocket.